Okay, welcome to our Mothers Out Front Massachusetts Climate Action Call. My name is Christine Gelstrup. I'm a member of the Climate Action Call team. For those of you who are not familiar with Mothers Out Front Climate Action Calls, in the next 45 minutes, you will learn about a specific climate issue and we will take focused action together. Today, we will be learning about the influence we have, through testimony on bills, with an emphasis on the personal appeal about the policies we're promoting. Here's a quick preview of the agenda for our climate action call. We'll start with a brief overview of today's focus. Next, we'll hear the background information. Then we'll hear a personal story from Susan Summer of Watertown. Next, we will divide into breakout rooms for a few minutes so we can connect with each other and share our personal motivations for this work. We will rejoin the main room and we'll move on to our action. We have set aside about 15 minutes of this call to take action together. We will then come back together for a few important announcements and next steps, and we will aim to end this meeting at 12:45. We do hope you'll stay until the end. Before we get going, I'll quickly go over a few norms for this meeting. Please rename yourself and your name and the city and town you're calling from. Use the chat to share comments or questions during the call. Please be sure that you stay muted when we are together in the main room. Closed captioning is available and you should be able to access that tool at the bottom of the screen. And finally, we are recording this climate action call. If you do not want to be seen in the recording, please use the Zoom controls to turn off your video. State legislatures can be powerful tools for the fight against climate change, and everyday citizens have more power than we often realize. Today, we start with a brief overview of the problems with the gas system and how the two bills we're promoting address these problems. We'll discuss the impact of personal approach to influencing policymakers. We'll end with an action that highlights your story and testimony on the bills that are due for a hearing any week now. I'm pleased to introduce Marjorie Davis, co-coordinator of our Clean, Affordable Heat Now campaign and a leader of the Cambridge chapter.
Thank you, Christine. First, we'll review some of the basic reasons why Mothers Out Front Massachusetts has focused most of our policy initiatives on the methane gas system that threatens our families. Then we'll describe how two important bills address the problem. As you might know, at every stage of the gas distribution system, methane leaks, and these emissions accelerate climate change even more than carbon dioxide in the near term. Methane gas is also bad for the health of children and contributes to asthma and even cancer. And let's not forget that gas is explosive. About half of our buildings are heated with gas, and most of our electricity is generated from gas plants. According to our state's climate goals, we need to be transitioning off gas to clean energy. But the gas companies are still expanding the gas system in Massachusetts. In Springfield and Longmeadow, Eversource wants to build a pipeline and expand related infrastructure. The pipeline would go directly through environmental justice communities in Springfield, endangering the residential neighborhoods and schools in close proximity. In Douglas, Massachusetts, Eversource installed gas pipes for the first time recently. Now, why should a town that has never before needed gas suddenly get it when we are supposed to be transitioning off gas? The new Peabody Peaker plant was approved to run on diesel and gas, and it's pretty obvious why they're doing this. The return on their investment for new infrastructure is guaranteed to be around 9%. And guess who pays for those profits? Ratepayers, meaning all of us. This is why the Springfield Climate Justice Coalition and other allies wrote a bill called an Act Preventing Gas Expansion to protect climate, community health, and safety. This is the first bill we're focused on today. It would prevent the approval of new and expanded high-pressure gas pipelines within 5 miles of an EJ community. The coalition also added a prohibition on new or expanded gas plants near environmental justice communities. This would limit the expansion of gas plants in many parts of the state, thereby saving money and protecting overburdened communities. In addition to the high-pressure pipelines like the one proposed in Springfield, There are tens of thousands of miles of leaky distribution pipes under our streets. In this map, the red dots are where the gas utilities plan to replace gas pipes. Supposedly, they chose these segments of pipes because of leaks or aging pipes. The huge cost of replacement is paid by ratepayers. Replacement is much more expensive than repair and is not the way to eliminate leaks. About 70% of leaks are eliminated by repair, and less than 10% are eliminated by pipe replacement. The reason the gas companies replace instead of repair pipes is because, again, they make big profits from installing new pipes, not from pipe repair. The smartest, most strategic thing we could be doing is repairing leaky pipes while systematically retiring the gas system and switching buildings to all electric energy. We need a tactical strategy for an equitable transition off gas. At present, customers who can afford to install heat pumps depart from the gas system. But most gas customers can't afford to cover all the expenses of switching off gas, so they have no choice but to keep using it. As fewer customers remain, they will pay the expensive fixed costs through increased rates. Last year, the Department of Public Utilities started to address the need for a strategic transition. Now, when gas companies identify leak-prone pipes that need to be replaced, they must indicate if some of those streets could be served instead with an alternative, such as neighborhood geothermal systems. But we need legislation to accelerate the transition. Here's the second bill we are focused on: an act relative to a tactical transition to affordable, clean thermal energy. The bill will compel and enable gas companies to transition buildings from gas to clean energy in an equitable way by, 1, requiring gas and electric utilities to proactively and jointly plan for the transition, and 2, incentivizing gas utilities to install modern, long-lasting, clean energy infrastructure rather than wasting ratepayer money on costly, soon-to-be obsolete gas infrastructure. And now Brad Dye will discuss the personal approach to influencing decision makers. Brad is a stay-at-home dad from Concord. He's a member of the Mothers Out Front statewide communications team, and before he became a homemaker, Brad worked for 14 years on Beacon Hill as a legislative aide and staff director in the Massachusetts House of Representatives.
Mothers Out Front is an organization grown from a passion for speaking our truth. At times like these, we need to express that passion like never before. We have found creative ways to get our message across while building our movement. Here in this picture, we are in Northampton in 2021 at the start of our Race Against Time, when we delivered thousands of postcards and those orange batons that held our demands to the gas utilities headquarters across the state. That was a fun, motivating time, and it got the attention of the media and the executives that we were targeting. And that action will always have a special place in my heart, because I took my 2-year-old to the Race Against Time event at Walden Pond, and that is where he got to hold his first demonstration sign. We have tools that we teach each other, like the personal narrative that Susan will model for you soon. We practice with each other so that we can speak with anyone about why we take action on climate. We believe that it is the personal story that touches and motivates others to action. Today's climate action call gets us back to our roots as a movement that speaks with the moral voice of parents and grandparents. We're not necessarily going to be positioning ourselves as the experts. We are a network of mothers and other caregivers working to make climate justice a reality in our communities. We work closely with allies and rely on them for policy guidance. Our role is to speak from the heart to the hearts of decision makers. Mothers Out Front members are respected in the State House for our smart, passionate, and focused approach. The power of interpersonal relationships in driving legislative decision-making is truly underrated. When we share our personal narratives about what brought us to the movement, we reveal a deeper level of ourselves, demonstrating to our elected leaders that we trust them. And when we share stories about how energy infrastructure is affecting our neighborhoods and our allies, these legislators know that they can trust the information we are sharing can be believed. And I can tell you from my experience as a former constituent service director that if one person takes the time to write a thoughtful personal email or especially a handwritten letter, it makes an impression. And if 5 people do it, it's a movement. A few years ago, we had our first major legislative win, passing an omnibus bill that included some of our key clean heat provisions. We helped get this legislation passed by making action completely accessible to anyone, no matter how experienced they were on policy. We asked our members for personal appeals to the key climate committee. They even included photos of the children who motivated their action to really personalize it. We packaged 60s of these heartfelt messages along with a cover letter from Mothers Out Front explaining the policies we were advocating. We submitted it as one giant testimony. We are planning to replicate that successful action this legislative session. Today's action includes writing a personal letter that we'll package and send to the committee when the public hearing is scheduled for the 2 important bills that Marjorie described. Those who want to can write testimony that includes some details about the bills, but please remember, that is completely optional. It's up to you. I'd like to welcome now Susan Summer, who is an active volunteer from Watertown. She's the co-coordinator of the statewide campaign team.
Thanks, Brad. I want to acknowledge that telling my personal narrative like this is a bit scary. I found that it's okay, though, to take risks with Mothers Out Front because it's a good place where you can trust people that are there to support you. My extended family's experiences and losses during the Holocaust have shaped me. My parents, as young adults from Austria and Poland, both fled Europe as anti-Semitism mounted in the late 1930s. The Nazis annexed Austria in March 1938 in a pogrom against Jews called Kristallnacht. Later that year, enveloped Germany and Austria, including my mother's home, Vienna. My grandfather and uncle were imprisoned, as were most Jewish men, but released weeks later. Fortunately, my mother and her immediate family were able to get visas to England and Sweden in the days leading up to World War II. Though not unlike today, getting visas was extremely hard due to strict quotas on European Jews. Tragically, in Poland, my paternal grandparents and most of my extended family were transported in 1942 to a Nazi death camp. I have always known that this history requires me to fight for justice and human rights for all people. My career as a nurse practitioner led me to work with underserved communities in a Jamaica Plain health center. Subsequently, I worked with Black and Latino children, many with undocumented parents, who were disproportionately hospitalized for asthma due to a whole host of social determinants of health, including indoor and outdoor environmental triggers, such as exposure to mold, methane from gas stoves, and air pollution. Knowing that these hospitalizations were preventable motivated my work, directing an asthma home visiting program, and ultimately led me to Mothers Out Front. As an activist, a mother, and a healthcare provider, I see my work on climate and environmental justice as a natural extension of this work for a healthy world for all children. We also want to acknowledge that today is the 2-year anniversary of October 7th, the heinous Hamas attack on Israeli Jewish communities on that day, and the subsequent 2 years of unrelenting destruction of Gaza, the killing of tens of thousands of Palestinians, and the starvation of the entire population has had an enormous impact on all of our lives. Many of us are taking action on this issue as well, out of our outrage at such cruelty. For me, these fights are of a piece, since we cannot live in a world, either in the US or the Middle East, where our planet is being destroyed by greedy oligarchs and anti-democratic governments can attack whole populations due to their ethnicity, religion, or immigration status. I feel like we're in the fight for our lives. I'm so inspired by and grateful to the Mothers Out Front community for the support I've received. I took on the leadership role of co-coordinator of the campaign team, not because I had decades of work on climate or felt fully prepared, but because someone I trusted asked me to do it, and I knew I would be doing something useful for the team. I also welcomed my first granddaughter last fall to the world, and this is the best way I can think of to make sure she grows up on a livable planet.
Thank you, Susan. That is such a powerful story of why you're doing this important work. And now we want to give all of you a chance to connect with one or two other participants. Share a personal introduction, including the children in your life and what motivates your action. It's only a few minutes, but it will start you thinking about what to write in your personal testimony. I can see Deb is already putting the questions in the chat. Thank you. When we go into these breakout rooms, please briefly introduce yourself and be sure that each person gets a chance to speak. When you see the 15-second countdown, use that time to wrap up your conversations. You will be automatically rejoining the main room. Have a great time connecting. We'll see you in about 4 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had some good conversations and that you're ready to put some of your personal motivations into the testimony that you're about to write. I'd like to hand it off now to Andra Rose, who will describe the action that we'll be taking. Andra is the coordinator of our legislative and regulation team and on the Massachusetts leadership team.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I am unmuted. Thank you, Brad. And thank you, Susan, for your wonderful personal narrative. It's very moving. And I want to welcome and thank Rep. Sangiolo for being here with us. Rep. Sangiolo is the sponsor of one of our priority bills. We call the Municipal Empowerment Bill. And we really appreciate your advocacy and leadership. Thank you. So all of the instructions that I'm about to tell you are in the action toolkit that you'll see shortly. You'll write a personal letter to the chairs of the Telecommunications, Utilities, and Energy Committee, which will be hearing our bills. And you can add a photo of your children or grandchildren to really personalize your letter if you like. Then just send it to us and we'll include it in a package of testimony under an official letter of testimony from Mothers Out Front that covers the details of the bills. When the hearing for the bills is scheduled, we're going to send you a copy of your letter back to you with the information you need to expand on it if you choose, and to submit it as standalone testimony. And that way, the committee will get our collective testimony and many individual letters as well. So Deb, can you put the link in the chat to our toolkit? So you look in the Zoom chat and click on the link there. If that doesn't open the toolkit, then copy and paste the link into your browser. You can't click on the screen that's showing the slide. That won't work. So we're all going to be quiet for the next few minutes so we can take this action together. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. And if you're really struggling with tech, don't worry. We'll get all these instructions. You'll get all these instructions by email later today or tomorrow. But if possible, get this action done right now. And we'll see you back here at 12:40.
So thank you all so much for taking action today. Later today or tomorrow, you will receive a follow-up email. It will have the toolkit we shared today, these slides, and a recording of this call. We encourage you to forward that email to your network. Tell your friends and neighbors about what you learned today. We think it's a good introduction to our work and an accessible action for anyone to take. Seeing all of you on these calls makes me hopeful about our future. Every month we build our movement a little stronger, we raise our voices a little louder, and a few more decision makers sit up and listen. That is the power of this movement. We want this climate action call to be on your calendar every month. Many of you use this call as a monthly tune-up for your advocacy voice. Why not invite a friend to join us next month? Deb's going to drop the link into the chat. Our next climate action call will be on Tuesday, November 4th. We know it's an election day, so we hope you can plan to vote before or after. We are honored to be joined by Senator Barrett, the leading legislator on climate issues. You won't want to miss this one. Also, Mothers Out Front hosts a welcome call every month. If you have asked yourself, what more could I be doing to stop climate change? This is the right event for you. At this event, we will work to help you identify the U-shaped hole in this movement. We want to help you find ways you can use your unique talents, skills, and experiences to build a stronger, more effective, more inclusive movement for change. We have one coming up this Friday at noon, so join us and bring a friend. And Deb's going to drop the link in the chat. So many thanks to all of you for joining us today, and have a great rest of your week.